Oh, and welcome back to the Radio Gamescast. As always, I'm your host, Ryan. I'm joined by my lovely duo of co-hosts, Alex and Wyatt.
Hello, hello.
Coming to you this side of the Mason-Dixon line with the weirdest noises.
Great introduction, Alex.
Sure.
Really pushing it today.
Love it.
We're here to talk about Gamescom. First and foremost, we got a number of other things to get into. We played a lot of the Battlefield 6 beta, at least Wyatt and I did. And then you got a whole lot of things to say about Battlefield 6, yes. I think.
Yes,
as my
absolutely.
light turns on and absolutely blinds me. But lots to talk about with Battlefield 6. Lots to talk about with Donkey Kong Bonanza, because we haven't done a normal podcast episode since we started playing. I think we did one like a few days after, but we hadn't played very much by then. It's been a lot longer. I also want to chat a little bit about Death Stranding 2, because we've both been playing it, and giving some opinions on that leading through. And
opinions that I'm sure everyone's gonna love.
And I was at Pokemon Worlds, which was a weird experience that I need to get off of my chest.
Every time you give us updates, every time you show us pictures and updates on our Discord, it looked like a fever dream sometimes.
It was.
Like a Pokemon fever
that
dream.
Is one of the coolest stages I have ever seen.
It was really sick.
For an event like that.
Yeah,
really
they had a cool arena stage. One of the things they did at Pokemon Worlds is they had like a video stage, so the actual stage itself was a video screen. And they, like Yu-Gi-Oh, during the trading card segment, would put the monsters and whatnot, the Pokemon down as they put the cards down. It was kind of sick.
That's awesome.
Very, very cool.
That's amazing.
And I'm sure incredibly expensive.
Oh god, I can only imagine.
Yeah, let's get the Pokemon Worlds out of the way first. That's a sensible thing. I think it was the first chronological thing that happened. So, Pokemon Worlds was this crazy, like, it's generally the competitive Pokemon season ending thing. And to be clear here, I'm not a competitive Pokemon player. I don't follow competitive Pokemon. I generally have no interest in it. I was only there because it was in Anaheim, which I live very close to. And I had a friend coming to go to it, so I managed to grab a ticket and go with him.
Why not,
and
right?
just hang
Is
out.
that what?
It's so close enough.
Oh my gosh. Back when I still, like, I don't know, collected Pokemon cards somewhat. Is that what all those, like, special card backs are from, that tournament? I remember there was, like, a Hawaii-themed one with a bunch of palm trees on the island around the Pokeball.
Like you can see, I'm wearing the shirt. I don't have I should have grabbed the items that I got that had, like, the Anaheim branding on them. But their like, theme this time was, like, varsity and, like, diners and Americana. So you've got, like, the milkshake stuff and the Pikachu and the varsity jacket and whatnot. Yeah, fun theming. They had a bunch of different stuff throughout the event. I think in general it went over really well. So the whole show was very fun. I only had a ticket to Sunday, so I didn't do the other stuff. We basically spent the rest of the weekend going to Disneyland instead of Pokemon World, so we really only did one day. But the highlight for me was I got to play ZA. They had Legend ZA demos up that we could play. They were only about 20 minutes long, but I came out of that feeling a lot more confident in Legends EA than I was going into Pokemon Worlds. The actual demo was really fun. I think there's going to be a lot there for people that don't normally like Pokemon. I actually think the people that are probably going to like this the least are regular Pokemon players in a weird fashion, in that, like, the way they've reworked the combat system, they still have the 4 moves and whatnot, but now they're mapped to your face buttons, and it's an action thing with cooldowns and whatnot for how it's handled. So,
Is that how Arceus
different.
was?
No, Arceus did not play like this. Arceus is probably the most similar of the Pokemon games to this, but it does not play like
because it's a
Arceus.
Legends, but
yeah, it's a Legends game as well.
I have a question about these Legends games. Do you think there's a small part of that studio where they're like, hey, if we try different stuff with the Legends games and it really catches, maybe that will be like the Pokemon formula going forward?
Totally. I think Legends is a testing ground for them. Because, like, Legends Arceus came out and people really responded well to the open design of that game, and Scarlet and Violet was a very open game afterwards. So I think they absolutely take certain things from them. I think Legends EA, I don't see the main Pokemon franchise going action. Like, to me, that's a jump that it would surprise me to the level of being surprised when Yakuza jumped to turn-based.
Would
Do you think
you-
that's more like a Pokemon Stadium spin-off way that could go?
I don't know.
Or like the
I
way
don't
that
know how they're
Pokemon
going to
games-
handle this. I mean, it's Legends right now, so it is a spinoff.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks, and I'm not a Pokemon person, so take everything I'm about to say with a big old like help and assault, right? But I wonder if with Pokemon, if they completely changed its mechanics or its combat, like it would be received better than other RPGs because I feel like people really fall in love with the Pokemon more so, a lot of the times more so than the
Yeah,
actual gameplay, so they're
the
more
the
married to that than they
designs are
are.
more important than the actual gameplay. I think to
So
a
I
lot of
wonder.
people. Though I will say, like, being at Pokemon Worlds, I got to sit in an arena for like 10 hours on Sunday and watch the finals of every Pokemon thing.
Oh
So
my!
I watched
Were they all on that
everything.
stage?
They were all on that stage, from Unite
Wow.
through to Pokemon Go, through the mainline games and the trading card game.
There was a Pokemon
That's
Go
kind of
tournament.
unheard of. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So wild. It's a wild setup. It's like 12
Oh my-
hours in that arena, and all the stuff is going. Legitimately, Pokemon Unite, super fun to watch. I don't play that game, but the casters were great. The Pokemon Unite casting team is really, really funny. They wore like gigantic cape suit things, and were like just having a great time as they were doing
That's
all
like
this.
a MOBA style thing, right?
Yeah, sort of, but it's pretty understandable. So, like, even not knowing anything about Unite and having never played it, it was relatively easy to grasp what was going on.
I would assume it's a very accessible MOBA as far as MOBAs go.
Yeah, but it was still like there was enough strategy there that it was interesting to watch.
It's a MOBA?
Yeah, it's a MOBA.
Huh.
It was very interesting to watch. I think the most entertaining thing was the video game at the end, because the way they do video game finals here is they're double battles, and that makes them far more interesting to watch than single battles. To the point where it actually was like, it's kind of like watching a chess match at the high level of
Ooh.
Pokemon video game. The first round is kind of like you start to understand what the two finalists are doing, and then the other rounds that they do are the like best of 5, or best of 3 or something that we're going through. I think it was best of 5. They went through. You kind of start to pick up on what their strategy is and like what is good. And the way they structured this tournament is they have 3 divisions. They have junior, senior, and master. And junior is like your kids division. That's younger people. Senior is your like high school age, and then masters is your adult competition. And they start with junior and work their way up to master. And it's really interesting to see like how the strategy changes.
I can see why this took 12 hours.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a
Yeah.
long time, even for just the finals.
Wow.
Especially in the like TCG was a little. I liked watching the TCG. The problem with the TCG is that they just didn't explain things very well. So you're seeing them playing the TCG is faster than everyone else can comprehend what's happening with the TCG because of how good they are. Like I understood the junior and senior match fine, but the masters matches were moving so quickly that you're like, okay, I don't quite understand what's going on still, or like what combo.
Especially if you're not familiar with the mechanics of the
There was like a
combat.
moment where the final match, the person played one card and then went from losing to winning the game in a single card and then just won. And I don't know what happened. I have no
What?
idea.
That's amazing.
Apparently there was some crazy combo that got put in place. Very cool.
Oh my
Didn't
God.
understand it. It was something involving Mew EX. It was very interesting, but the video game was fun to watch because I'm at least familiar enough with the video game to know what was going on for the most part. And like there was a competitive meta that you see right now. Like there's one Pokemon, it's like the Among Us fungus dude who has very funny name. The
Another
evolution
one
of
of
that
the ones that looks like a
Pokemon.
Pokeball.
Yeah. The evolution of that Pokemon has an ability called Spore, which just puts people to sleep. It's a guaranteed sleep if it hits you. So, but it can't do anything else. Like it does that, and then it is bulky, so it can take a hit. But that's really all it does. So it really only stalls. So the entire like video game finals, the junior and senior division weren't using it for the most part. They didn't use that ability. They were using other stuff. But the Masters division entirely revolved around like usage of that sleep and like what the mind game of guessing when they were going to go for the sleep or in which Pokemon they were going to do it on, because you could dodge it by like swapping Pokemon or by using a Protect or something. So there was a bunch of like strategy around that, and it was super fun to watch for the Masters division. It was really fascinating. They made like anime openings for the finalists. I think specifically the Masters division, the 2 finalists were like good friends and knew each other, and so they had like a rivals anime opening. They built off of the 2 of them.
Great.
Which
That's really cool.
the semifinals were on Saturday. They were one day before, so they had to build that production package within the day, like within 12 hours, in order to have it ready for the next day. It's very impressive stuff, and like legitimately super fun to watch. The video game finals were great. So yeah, fun to do. Next year they're doing it in San Francisco, and I think they're doing a much bigger show, which I might try to go to, because this time it was very much... There was a lot of problems with Pokemon Worlds. I only got a Sunday ticket, and that's not for lack of trying. It's very hard to get a ticket to Pokemon Worlds, because you had to like enter a lottery to get sent as a spectator. As a competitor, it's much easier if you're on a competitive level for something. But spectator tickets were pretty hard to come by. Pokemon Center was kind of crazy. There's huge lines to get into the Pokemon Center once you have like a time slip that allows you to go in. That whole process feels like it needs to be smoother in the future. It wasn't that bad, but it was... I had heard in the first day it was pretty bad. I think we kind of got lucky on the second day with our times, and it was pretty fine. But they were also sold out of things. Like, they were sold out of tons of stuff. They didn't have any trading cards game stuff for the most part.
Oh. I can unfortunately believe that. Probably scalpers.
But it's even with the
again.
purchase limits, because they limited everything to one, so you couldn't like scalp things there. You were only buying one of them.
That's good to hear.
And then they had lottery items, so they did like a cool jukebox. That's the one thing that I wanted, was the jukebox. Didn't get
Like
a voucher
the one on
for
your
it.
shirt?
Yeah. Didn't get a voucher for it, so I couldn't get it. Stuff like that. So there was a bunch of stuff like that where it felt like, for the big show items, I would have liked if they had built enough of them to allow them to be purchased by every attendee, or at least like a portion that was much bigger than the portion that they let get them. Because yeah, it was a little rough going in there. They did have tons of other stuff, like they had tons of clothing that was super cool. I heard there were like fist fights over Arcanine jackets, and I managed to just walk up and grab one with no issue whatsoever.
Oh my god!
But apparently, the day before, the Arcanine gear was pretty crazy. They like sold out of everything instantly. Whereas the day we went early in the day, so they had more. But yeah, very fun time. The weirdest thing to me is there was a little like vendor hall in the back of the hall past the Legends EA demos. And that little vendor hall was like merchants that the Pokemon company let be in the hall and let sell stuff. They were scalping items that were that were being sold in the Pokemon Center in limited quantities. So no one was really able to get them aside from people that got the vouchers. But they had like Black Bolt and White Flare Elite Trainer boxes, which is like one of the trading card games that people like to buy. Those things go for about $50. That's the baseline cost of one. Most of these vendors were selling them for $100. And so it's like walking into the show and then seeing them being scalped at the show produced by the Pokemon company was crazy. I get it for like vintage stuff. Like, I totally understand them having like an old set like Evolving Skies or something and it being super expensive. Like, that makes sense. It's a vintage thing, you know, limited supply and all that. Pokemon company's not producing anymore. But on a thing that they are actively still making and still producing, being scalped at their show by different people is crazy to me. That's just a level of like, to me, that should not have been allowed.
That's crazy.
That should have been like you can't sell the current sets or something if you're going to be here, or they need to be at the price of the show. It was wild, or like only sell singles or something. Super weird. Back to the final notes about the ZA demo. So I mentioned the first half, which is that I liked it a lot. It was pretty fun. My biggest gripe is the lack of voice acting, because this one has like full cinematic camera angles and whatnot, and no voice acting. So it's dead silence as the camera's like tracking things, and like I think Pokemon Company needs to just like do something. They either need Animal Crossing speak, or actual words to come out of these people's mouths. Because it really just feels like watching a silent movie, and it's not a good feeling when they're trying to get cinematic with that stuff, especially when they do things involving music. Like, this stuff in some of the games are like, oh, a thing is supposed to be singing right now, and then it's just dead silent, and you're like, okay. Don't.
Oh, looky here, mister. I only watch the talkies, elitist.
Yeah, I really think they need to do better with voice acting stuff, or at least do it at all.
Wait, so it was dead silent. There's text bubbles with dead silent. So it's not even the like the noise of the text popping. Oh my god!
It's it's not what I would want out of that scenario. Like, maybe there'll be a text sound in the actual game, but there was not. However, the second half of this demo, so there are two halves. We played through the first bit, which is like the battle zone stuff where you go through, you fight a bunch of trainers, you have healing items and whatnot you can go through. There's stealth. You can stealth attack in this game. And like sneak up on other trainers and then have your Pokemon attack them from the shadows.
Oh my god.
Really funny. And a big
I
gimmick of
love
this one is
being
your
wrong.
trainer has their own health, not just your Pokemon, so you can take damage and get knocked about, and that won't happen in like a trainer fight where like the trainer is commanding the Pokemon not to attack you. They're fighting each other, and you're the trainer, right?
But in the wild,
specifically in the like mega battles, so the conceit of ZA is you're fighting rogue mega evolution Pokemon. And you do this by like hunting them down. There was like a rooftop chase for the one that I was doing, which was really fun.
Wait, can you jump? Is there jumping?
I don't think so. It was like button prompt stuff, so nothing too crazy complicated, but it was very fun. Then in these you get a Mega Ring, and the way Mega Evolution works in this game compared to the turn-based games is you get energy when you attack things. So as your Pokemon are attacking things, when they use a big hit or they stun something, a bunch of orbs are going to pop out, almost like Devil May Cry. You can go run over those orbs, which means you're putting yourself in risk to get this, because your trainer has to run over it.
This sounds like a really good gameplay balance.
It's a good loop, because it makes you actually put yourself in danger. You run, grab this stuff, which fills a gauge that when it's full, you can Mega Evolve. Like a God of War power-up or something. Your Pokemon temporarily Mega Evolves, gets their special moves and whatnot, and does way more damage. They can take more of a hit and all that. Get their normal Mega Evolution stuff. But it's a timer, so it runs down, and then you can do it again once you collect the orbs back up, and you can extend it by doing really well and like collecting more while you're there. But like you have a dodge button. You have to like move and get out of dodge in these big rogue fights, which was super fun. And there's strategy to it of like you can command your Pokemon to get back in their Pokeball, so they'll come back to you, and you can do that to have them dodge things. So if they're like at risk of getting hit by a big AoE, you can hit the D-pad and they'll teleport back to you essentially, and then you can stick them back out, but that'll like let them dodge an attack and stuff like that. So there's lots of really cool interactions with that. This was a really simple fight. This was like the tutorial one from what I could tell. You get your Mega Ring in the cutscene that was happening here, so I imagine this was literally the first time you use it. And it was really fun for the first time, and it was like a 5-minute long fight. They warned us that like some people didn't finish it within the demo time period, and I can understand why, because we had a 10-minute limit on that section, and there was a cutscene involved, so you totally could just like not complete it if you didn't do well enough and weren't aggressive. And like my Pokemon almost got knocked out. They have you with Lucario there, and I was close to getting Lucario knocked out until they were like, yeah, you can use your potions and whatnot to heal mid-fight. But
did you have to be close to
really
use it because it's like a spray bottle in the game?
No, but they have a cooldown. So you can't spam them in this one. You have a cooldown for using things like potions, which means no spammy spam.
I have one last very important question.
Yeah.
Did you get a look at the Pokedex in this game?
I didn't get to see the Pokedex.
Do you know if Swampert is in the game?
God,
because that will entirely determine.
God, I hope so.
Because if he isn't, I can't touch it. If he is, I'm gonna be slobbering all over.
It seemed like it had a good selection, though. I think there's a pretty great amount from what I saw.
So I'm looking at gameplay for the combat right now, because you're explaining it to us, but I'm like having a weirdly hard time.
Bizarrely, it plays like Xenoblade
in my head,
and like a Xenoblade 2 specifically, I would say.
Yeah, it's faster. Almost like
I love really enjoying games that I vote against. in our fantasy league thing. I'm really looking forward to this, and I am going to lose awfully.
Yeah,
I should not.
The thing that was
this.
getting me with it is that the loop is just much faster, and that is what I really enjoyed. It's very easy to play and whatnot. Overall, had a great time.
This is available for Switch or just Switch 2?
Switch and Switch 2 is going to run way better on Switch 2. I played it on a Switch 2, and it was pretty rock solid, and I think above 60.
Wow.
Probably, or not above 60, above 30. It was probably 60 frames.
I will say, that was one of the things, like, whenever I try and play Pokemon in the past, it's like you would do one attack and then, like, 6 different messages would come up talking about
None
what
of
that
that.
attack did. It's
None of
like,
that is in
"Come
this
on!
game.
Come on!
And
Let's
like you
go!"
still have the buffing and debuffing moves,
Right,
so they're
right.
still there. They're just cooldown based instead, and so you don't get like the constant text crawl. Yeah, a lot of things that I really liked about it. So
Interesting.
my biggest complaint is the voice acting thing. All right, moving on from Pokemon stuff, it's time to talk about Gamescom opening night live. This is the big show, I believe, in Cologne every year. They have lots of fun stuff. This is Jeff Keighley's like opening night thing where they basically the big quote unquote. There were plenty of big announcements not in this show. Big stuff is kind of concentrated into this one. There's a lot of really cool stuff, starting with Bubsy 4D.
Yeah.
Which bizarrely looks good. I would say this game actually looks pretty good.
They've tried a couple times to like bring Bubsy back as like it's a game, but it's also like that's the joke is that it's Bubsy and we're still making Bubsy games. And they've never been great. I don't
I'm
know.
hopeful for this one. I think 3D platformers
Atari.
need some more love. So, hopefully Bubsy 4D is good because I think it's the first
It
fourth
looks like
dimensional
solid
platformer,
platforming,
so
at least.
I mean, it doesn't look like a Bubsy game, and that's probably a good thing.
I mean, it kind of looks like Bubsy 3D.
And you can get the Bubsy 3D skin. Wonderful.
And yeah, we started with a couple of Atari things, like an Outlaws remaster as well, which is a game that I'm not super familiar with. I think it's an old LucasArts thing. Looks neat. Boomer shooter. Very fun.
Okay.
And yeah, a few other things in this pre-show that I'm not super familiar with. Racing game, train thing, which...
Oh, the train. You can grind the train on rails and stuff. This...
I don't know
what
what to
this
expect
feel like?
with this one.
This is wild.
Yeah, sometimes you see something you're just like, I don't understand what's going on, and the train game is one of those things.
I can only just hope that there's multi-track drifting.
I mean,
here's
we
the
just
thing.
saw multi-track drifting.
Did you see multi-track? I just saw drifting on a fight.
The footage I'm watching, I just saw multi-track drifting. Looks
So
neat.
here's the thing
Oh,
for
you can
me.
form a train Gundam.
Here's the thing for me. So I'm looking down the list of announcements, right? So many of these like melee action games are blurring together in my brain because I'm like looking at individual footage of all these. I'm like, oh, that was two separate things. I kind of globbed it all into one game. That's kind of one of my issues with this entire show is that it felt like so many of these like melee action stuff because there's a fair amount here, it just all kind of blurred together.
Oh, there's more stuff from Keeper as well.
Yeah, Keeper as well got shown off here.
Swoosh. I don't know.
Yeah. Keeper got shown off. We talked about this before at the Game Awards. I didn't really show a ton of new footage, so there's nothing, I think, new to talk about aside from this is the cool game where you play as a lighthouse. It seems very fun. There's a He-Man video game. That's about all I have to say about the He-Man video game. Maybe it'll be good.
Sure. Why not?
I'm very open to it being good. I'll put it that way. I hope it's fun because a He-Man video game is also just hilarious to me. Cool looking roguelite, I assume, called Absalom. I don't know what that is because they didn't really show gameplay. Long Gone is another looks like narrative indie thing. Cool looking. I think the star of the pre-show was Valor Mortis, which is a first-person Souls-inspired action game where you have like flintlock technology as well, so you've got like guns in addition to sword. Looks very fun.
Please tell me this has gun parrying like Flintlock did. I did really like that aspect of that game.
It's first person, so I'm not entirely sure what to expect with this one. Yeah, the footage of it is like what looks like Revolutionary War army fighting knights. So I'm not quite sure what to expect from Valor Mortis, but it looks neat.
Have we had any like first person Souls likes before?
There's been attempts, I would say, but nothing that I think looks that polished.
Nothing stuck.
And that's from the Ghost Runner devs, so I would assume it's going to be pretty well made compared to others. Both Ghost Runner 1 and 2 are very good. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the name of the Kepler Interactive game, but another cool kind of sci-fi situation. Always a fan of those. It's fun for me. I just like cool sci-fi situations.
Yeah.
After that, we got Routine, which a lot of people are very excited for. This is one of the ones that got a lot of. I can't remember. Have we seen Routine before?
So okay,
I
stumbled across this. The original reveal for Routine was 2012.
Yeah, we
What?
saw this was the one where we saw a trailer like 2 Game Awards ago or something. That it then went silent again until now. Looks good. Like, this is looking interesting to me. I'm really curious how these like weapons work and whatnot with their little video screens that you're looking through. Yeah, it almost in a weird way reminds me of Fatal Frame.
I'm curious as to why this has taken so long.
Yeah,
You know,
same.
I'm not saying that as a negative thing. I'm just like, hey, you know, I wonder what they've got cooking up over here, or what kind of like, maybe it was internal stuff. Who knows? But that's a long freaking time to make it.
Oh yeah, it could just be a passion project that didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
To work on it, but yeah, it seems really interesting. I'm excited to try it when it comes out. Still don't have a date for it, I believe. It does say this year though, so.
I was gonna say, and we won't see it for another 12 years.
Sword of Legends shown after this, and has me excited, not specifically because of anything that this game showed. The aesthetic is really cool, and it looks very smooth, but just the fact that we're getting more mainline Chinese games, I think is very cool, because like Chinese devs have some amazing projects, like Black Myth Wukong, for example, and the new, I think, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers just came out. Lots of really cool stuff coming out of Asian devs that we didn't used to get in the past in America, and so I'm very excited to see more games from Asian developers making their way over, especially specifically games by Asian developers targeting Asian audiences, and not Western ones.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to see these different games showing up. Sonic Racing is Sonic Racing.
You also know with this newer crop of Chinese developed games, you're going to get a lot of, is this a Wukong clone? So that's going to be happening for the next however many years. Very excited for that.
No.
Very excited.
That's going to be a great time to go through. All the Black Myth Wukong Souls-like comparisons really get me going too. All right, we got Hollow Knight Silksong footage, like 2 minutes of it, and I want to caveat this one by saying we then, in a later different thing, completely not part of this, got an actual release date. It comes out in 2 weeks on September 4th. So very excited to play Silksong. Finally, it's a real thing. I don't know why it was in Opening Night Live when they didn't give the release date at Opening Night Live.
And then just only showed
like vague footage behind Jeff Keighley of Silksong. It was completely unnecessary. I think it was solely just to remind people that the game exists and is coming. Because then we can jump to it later. But
yet another game I'm happy I didn't counter because I was like, that's not going to come out. Oh no.
Silksong is rolling the dice. You're like, oh, eventually I'm either going to take a huge hit here or it's going to be not coming out. So,
but hey, we can't do that with Silksong anymore, so we need to find something else. I'm going to say Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah,
I
that's
spent
the new
so much money for Fantasy Critic to get this fucking game, so it better come out. God damn it!
We have the release date. It's in 2 weeks.
I know.
You're getting it, Wyatt.
Thank God.
All right, Silksong soon. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 got another trailer, and this was pretty cool. And I like the idea of the stuff going on here. The cool like dreamscape. You might be
the only one to say that, Ryan.
I think people are just like, I don't know.
This happens. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. Okay. All right. I'm gonna say this real quick. I know Call of Duty is stupid sometimes. They make very stupid decisions. They make bad games from time to time. But this is the thing. This is the thing that happens every year. where, or not every year, it's every like 5 years or something, where one Call of Duty trailer comes out. It looks like all the rest, okay? There's some weird like psychological stuff going on in this one, but you got a Metallica song that's like a trailerized version, and you've got people shooting guns at other people. It's every Call of Duty trailer we've ever seen. But for some reason, it's this one specifically that pisses people off. And there's
Why does
never
it piss
any
people off?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like Advanced Warfare came out in 2000 whatever. I think it was like 2015,
Look, we
2016,
gotta save
whatever.
some of the shooter hot takes for when we talk about Battlefield 6.
but I just don't understand. Maybe it's just because it like lines up with a Battlefield release, but like it's every other Call of Duty thing I've ever seen. But for some reason, people get specifically pissed off at this one. It's the same thing with
the
Advanced
cool
Warfare.
top-down shooter mode that was a gimmick in
Yeah, that
one
was
of the Black
really
Ops games.
That was interesting.
Not one. They've done that like 3 or 4 times.
I didn't know
Really?
they did that more. I've
It's
only
always
really played
it's always
the campaign of
a
like
hidden thing.
1 and 6, I think. So
But like genuinely, they've got some weird psychological stuff going on with all this crazy imagery. Fine, fuck it. Like we've had so many of these fucking games. Might as well try something different. Just fucking just swing for it and see what happens. I don't know. I feel like Call of Duty campaigns at this point are a space where you can just try whatever. I don't
Yeah.
really care at this point. I'm not that upset about it.
I'm just interested in the
Whatever.
campaigns because I love me a good short campaign in a first-person shooter, and
The last few years they've been pretty
the
good.
last few have
barring,
been pretty good. So
except for Modern Warfare 3. We don't talk about Modern Warfare 3. That game doesn't exist. We don't talk about it. But like the other ones, it's been pretty good. I don't know. I'm a little worried because this is coming off of the previous Black Ops game. And
fast turnaround for the same series or like sub-series.
fast turnaround. Well, the last time that happened was Modern Warfare 3, which was terrible by most Call of Duty standards, even. So I'm a little worried that it's another Black Ops game in a row, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. It looks like every other Call of Duty game, which means I'll download it on Game Pass and play the campaign, play the multiplayer for a bit before it's forgotten for Warzone, and then move on with my life. Whatever.
All right. Speaking of moving on with our lives, that's enough for talking about Call of Duty. Lords of the Fallen 2 got shown off, and I'm pretty excited for this. I think the new Lords of the Fallen was actually pretty good. Caveated that the developers have said some dumb stuff on Twitter, I think, but that's not too different.
Oh, this is CI Games, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's some Twitter drama
Yeah.
with the CEO of Lords of the Fallen.
Didn't they say that they're like not interested in putting woke stuff in their game, or am I thinking of a different developer? I heard that from someone. I think it's CI Games. I could be wrong, but it was something like that, and I was just like, okay, whatever, whatever, dude.
Yeah, there's nothing particularly egregious that I'm familiar with. Maybe there is, but they've definitely had some like. I think the biggest thing is largely that the CEO has been retweeting Elon stuff in the past.
I mean,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah. All right, moving on. From Lords of the Fallen 2, which again I'm pretty excited for. I liked the first one.
Oh, we have a hand angel.
Gotta get the hand angel, dude. We have a Sekiro anime announcement for Sekiro No Defeat, which they used.
There was.
So I like the look of this. Caveating
There was
that
a
with
big
after the
kerfuffle.
show, there was a thing about AI potentially being used in the production studio.
Potentially being used. There has been a lot of back and forth, and this is what I figured from, like, hoping that it was all like a big kerfuffle out of nothing. They were pointing out smear frames because the people who are noticing these things aren't animators and don't know what smear frames are, and that they're going to look weird in animation.
Yeah.
But there's also things where it's saying, okay, the studio has gone to say that they do not use AI and that everything is hand drawn and hand painted in this. But also on their website it says that they use AI in their process. So I'm not entirely sure what. So maybe it's more on not necessarily a managerial standpoint.
Yeah,
but
who knows? Maybe it's just like for
something more along the lines
storyboarding or
of,
something.
And like I feel like we've talked about this. There are uses for AI in certain like creative processes where it gets rid of like busy work or
Tedium
like
is
very
usually the
it
thing that
gets rid of
get rid of.
tedium, but it doesn't take away from the creative process of art, and we don't know what degree it's being used here. I guess I don't know. It's tough to say unless someone definitively says yes, this is how it's used. But
Yeah, I
there you
assume
go.
some sleuths when the show comes out will tell us all what to think. Moving on to the Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, which crazily looks really good. This is a Lego Batman kind of collection thing. Not collection of the other Lego Batman games, but like a collection of all the movies that have been done about Batman. So you've got like stuff from The Batman, you've got a bunch of stuff from like Bane from Dark Knight Rises and all that. So
I was
I'm
wondering if
really interested what the actual structure of this is going to be like. But
so I've heard a couple things. There is like an open world Gotham where
that they
like
said is
you
bigger
can roam
than
around
the
and do
Arkham Knight
whatever.
open world Gotham.
which is
Which is
crazy.
pretty crazy. But I was wondering, like, is this some sort of like collection of those? Like they're recreating like those movies, kind of like what they did with the Skywalker saga. But from what I understand, it's taking stuff from all of the movies and all of the games and putting all that shit in a blender. So
It
it's
feels
kind of
very
like,
comic booky to me. I'm into it.
yeah, I'm so into it. Where it's like it's technically an original story, but again, it's just a blender of like stuff from the movies. Like you can obviously see there's like Heath Ledger's Joker in there. There's lines from like Batman '89 where he says like "Let's get nuts" and stuff like that. Like f- super interesting stuff.
They literally do the Dark Knight Rises, Born in the Darkness, Raised by It
Which
monologue.
I love that Bane is being voiced by Matt Berry, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
very good.
Oh yeah.
This kind of
Amazing.
skyrocketed to the top of my most wanted list from this
Yeah,
show afterwards because I really
absolutely.
liked Skywalker Saga. I thought it was very fun. So it's something that's a little bit less like spread out. Like Skywalker Saga had to cover 9 movies worth of ground, and that meant a lot of it was rushed. So
Yeah.
I think just covering Batman in general is a lot easier because you can treat it like a comic book and not need to retread ground constantly.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm sure from a developer standpoint, and this may not have been the case for everyone working on it, but it might have been more exciting just because of how many Lego Star Wars games they've made, and they're like covering the same material over and
Mhm.
over and over again. And I think this is something that's like a bit more original, like kind of untrodden ground for them, which I would imagine
Totally.
could make it more interesting, you know?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of really interesting things being shown off here. Okay, moving on. Dawn of War got shown off. This is a new Dawn of War game.
I'm
It
confused as
is.
to what it is.
It's an
Not
RTS.
having. Okay.
It's Dawn of War 4. It's an RTS. They specified with this one that they're really inspired by 1 and 2 for Dawn of War 4. They really particularly want to go back to that style because 3 was not super well received. I don't think it was like panned or anything, but it definitely was like a odd mix of a co-op thing. Whereas this looks much more like a traditional RTS from what we've seen, and it looks really good. I think the visuals here are great. And 40K, great series for an RTS. So, all right, Monster Hunter Wilds and Final Fantasy 14 are
We're
getting
getting
a crossover,
chocobos.
which I'm very excited about because the Sacred is already basically a chocobo. So
Yeah, pretty
getting a
much.
chocobo skin is great. I also am very excited because they go pretty hard at these in Final Fantasy when they do these crossovers. Specifically, we have like you can fight a Rathalos in Final Fantasy 14 already as part
Oh
of this
crap!
crossover.
That's right. I need to figure out when that crossover is actually going on for 14, so I can get it and hopefully get some cool stuff.
It's probably gonna be permanent. The Rathalos one at least is permanent.
Oh.
You can still play it.
Ooh.
It's in the game.
Sir, was the Clive outfit thing permanent or was that limited time?
I have no idea if that's. I
From
did it when it
16.
released, so I'm not sure if it was permanent or not. But the Monster Hunter stuff at least is permanent. The older ones, I don't know if the new one is. But they made like a whole custom trial setup where like the Rathalos fight, instead of your healer being able to heal you, you have a limited number of potions to use, like Monster Hunter. And instead of telegraphing like Final Fantasy normally does, the monster will do the attacks that Rathalos does in the Monster Hunter games, and you just gotta kind of know what's going on to dodge them. It's really funny to play that trial with people that have never played a Monster Hunter game because they just don't know what's happening. It's so funny going through it. So I'm kind of expecting this to be the same thing, and it's Arkfeld is the crossover monster who is a crazy one of the final sets of monsters that you fight in Wilds, and is really, really hard baseline. So I'm excited to see how they interpret that in 14. We also have Omega from Final Fantasy XIV making its way into Monster Hunter Wilds, which I cannot wait to see how they interpret that fight for a Monster Hunter fight. Because Omega is like a crazy sequence of 3 raids in Final Fantasy. So I'm really interested in how they're going to turn that like sci-fi boss into a Monster Hunter one. Because like Behemoth made sense. I understand Behemoth from the last crossover that Monster Hunter did with them. Omega is going to be wild. I'm not entirely sure what to expect. Okay. We got some Onimusha, we got some Infield, some Europa Universalis in quick order. We've talked about Onimusha before in the show. Looks very good. I'm very excited for a new Onimusha game. I've been playing through the old ones in preparation, and they're very good. And readily available, which is very nice. They're on Switch, which is very great.
Oh, really? I didn't know there was any kind of like collection or re-release.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are on Switch. The third, to my knowledge, I don't know if they added it onto there. I'm not at 3 yet, so I'm not sure where it is. Yeah, at least the second and third.
I'm assuming you probably don't have to play the other ones to understand what's going on.
Probably not. It might help, though. I think specifically the first one has kind of the setup for the whole series in it, so that one sort of helps, but it's not like, I don't know, Onimusha is not that complicated. It's not quite like Resident Evil, where it feels like you do need to know a lot of what's going on to understand what's happening. But yeah, I think it looks really good. I'm very excited for that. We also found Infield, which is like a weird anime factory game. It's kind of how I describe it, with combat and whatnot inside. I don't know what's going on in this one. I'm potentially interested because I like factory games, and that's about it. That's the only thing.
I feel like we see this kind of game with every big like game show like this, where it's like photorealistic world, anime character.
Yeah, it's an Arknights crossover, not crossover, spin-off thing too. So I don't know. Interested to see how that'll go. More Universalis 5 information, and yeah, it looks fun. Europa Universalis. I think everyone who's played the series knows what to expect, and if you haven't played the series, best get a textbook of how to play it, because you're going to need it. Because it's the grandest of grand strategies.
Doesn't get much grander than that.
Yeah. Moving on, we see some Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. I've been playing the demo of this on the Switch. Unfortunately, the Switch demo is not great. It's locked at 30, despite, I think, being capable of doing higher. It doesn't actually seem like it's struggling at all, but it's locked at a pretty sluggish 30 on Switch 2, so I'll probably end up picking it up on PC or something. But otherwise, it played very cool. It's almost like what I imagine Anthem wanted to be when it came out, and that you have like these... You've got the like Javelin-style suit instead of a mech this time. But it's got like an open world. It's structured in a very different way, where it's like a hub-based action game rather than Daemon X Machina 1 was like mission-based. You pick a mission and go out. This time you have a whole area to explore. There's reasons to go about, and you can like fly the whole thing. The movement's very good and freeing and whatnot. So it's like, it feels like it's accomplishing what Anthem wanted to do in a bizarre way at a much lower budget. So fun.
Is it at all similar to the first one?
Loosely. Like, it's the same setting. So, like, you are still playing characters that are built into the world. I never finished the first game, so I don't know where the story goes in the first one. But, like, there's terms being thrown around that I recognize. At least from what I've played so far, it doesn't seem like you need to play the first one. Though I will forewarn people, like, this is a AA budget game that is reaching far above its pay grade in terms of how much stuff is involved in the story. It moves real quick. It expects you to kind of just keep up. It's just like, oh, here's your best friend from your childhood. He is rescuing you from about to be chopped up into mech, essentially. So best get going and just trust what's being said, because they're not going to fill you in on that. They kind of just keep moving you on. It's like, all right. And they throw you out into stuff. There was a bit where I was thrown out into actual space and was flying around spaceships, and I was like, is this what the game is going to be? Because this is really cool. And then I crash landed on a planet, but it was still very fun. I I'm hoping this game is going to be good, because I think what's actually there is good. I'm just expecting that the Switch version is not going to be well optimized, and you're probably better off playing it on PC. All right. We saw a little bit of Voidbreaker, solo dev, roguelike shooter project. I got this installed, and I'm ready to try it, because it's on Game Pass, and seems very fun.
Been getting good reviews on, like, Steam reviews at least, which is good. Good sign.
After that, Indiana Jones, The Order of Giants for
Looking
the
good,
Great
looking
Circle.
fun.
Looks very good. I'm excited to finish Indiana Jones, because I didn't finish it before, and I feel bad about that. And now I want to finish it, because it was very fun from the bit that I played, but I need to play more.
Very, very good video game. It's from a dev whose bread and butter is basically making games where you kill Nazis, so it's perfect.
Deadpool VR. You know, for a Deadpool VR game, which I wouldn't normally be interested in, this looks neat. That's
It would
about as
look
much
fun
as
if
I
I
can
could play
say.
VR. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't get motion sickness problems. And then the most overhyped World of Tanks
Oh my
trailer
god.
that I've ever
World
seen.
of Tank shit.
We were like,
Wow.
the reactions we were having to this was crazy.
I was
It
like,
was
this
the
looks like a World of Tanks
funniest.
thing. Surely this can't be World of Tanks. This looks fucking ridiculous. Oh, this is World of Tanks.
It's World of Tanks. Yeah, it was wild.
Well, the fun it was, oh my god. It was this the one where they were like, "Oh, this is something that this studio's never tried before," and then it's just like it was
No,
like
that
World
was
of
the one
Tanks
with the
again.
more
Oh,
side
that's a different
tanks, right?
one.
That
Okay.
also ended up
Yeah,
being
that was a
World of
different
Tanks.
thing.
They had two different World of Tanks announcements.
Yeah.
All right.
I forgot it.
Let's move it on to John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, which I'm so glad that we can have a John Carpenter's Toxic Commando video game. Bizarrely, it's Saber Interactive. It looks good. I think this looks pretty fun. It's a cool horde shooter thing.
Listen, Saber Interactive is keeping the horde shooter alive, and
They know
I
what they're doing with this
appreciate it.
stuff.
Even if I kind of bounced off of uh Warhammer Space Marine 2, even if I kind of bounced off of that, I'm glad that they're keeping this genre alive, because I do love it so much.
Because I believe they did World War Z as well.
They did, yeah.
Which, yeah,
The
very
video
good
game.
zombie horror shooter.
The video game, yeah.
Yeah, the video game, not the movie. Then we see a nice, weird... I love, like, games like this that are like you just gotta move. Which is Death by Scrolling, which is like a vertical scrolling RPG light thing, which reminds me a lot of a game called Half Minute Hero from ages and ages ago, which was a really cool RPG game where you run around trying to get as powerful as possible within 30-second increments. It's a really cool one. It's a classic game that was available, I think, on like the PSP originally. So very fun. Death by Scrolling kind of looks like the same vein, so excited to try it out. All right. Zero Parades.
Zero Parade
is the Zaum follow-up to Disco Elysium. Now, caveating this statement, there is a ton of drama that went on at Zaum involving a takeover by the CEO, a bunch of people getting fired, like a whole bunch of stuff. To my understanding, most of the team behind Disco Elysium is not working on this game. This is Zaum is now a different entity functionally. Doesn't mean the game's going to be bad, but I heavily encourage people to do some research into what went on at Zaum.
means it leaves kind of a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, because certainly I am a little wary of this game. I would not go, Disco Elysium was great, so this is going to be great. I'm a little bit wary. I do think the trailer is cool. I think their setup is interesting. But I'm very much wary of this one. I think it's, going to be a pretty interesting thing to go through. Let me find. I want to find the title of the article. There was an article released by someone who was formerly at Zaum this week that I think was in response to this trailer being done. Yeah, there's an article called "I Blew the Whistle on Workplace Abuse at Zaum. In return, Zaum tried to defame me." Just an interesting article to read. I don't know exactly this whole situation. It's a really long one, so it's very interesting. There's a lot of lot of stuff in this article to go through. And yeah, Zaum, I hope it does well. I hope Zero Parades is good, but who knows? Okay. At this point,
The Darkest Files at all?
yes,
That looks like another kind of cool crime solving game.
which is weirdly in my territory. I do like an odd ball crime solving.
I got you on that Ace Attorney.
All right, we had a bunch of other rapid fire stuff afterwards. Neverness to Everness, which is a fascinating looking, like, I don't even know how to describe. Let's see, what do they actually use as the genre for this?
It feels like it's a
supernatural
different
urban
game.
open world RPG. This
That's
is
right.
the
It's
thing.
the car thing that. Oh,
Anime GTA is how I've heard it described before. I don't know
Right.
if it's actually what's going to be like, but very interesting looking game. I'm not sure if I'll play it. I have a very limited amount of patience for gacha games. That's about it. We
I
saw
feel like every
Unbeatable.
single time we see a bit of that game, it looks like a different game. It's very strange.
We saw Unbeatable, which I am very excited for, which is like a musical action rhythm beat 'em up thing. Tremendously excited for this. This is a demo out. You can play it. Very good. Can't wait for the full game. I think it's going to be real fun. Not much to say about it, because the trailer is a bunch of Fully Cooley style madness that I think is just meant to tease you until the game actually comes out in November. So, excited for that one. We got Honor of King's World, which is an interesting one that looks like a co-op action thing. May or may not be free to play, not entirely sure. It was described as an open RPG on their website. So I'm hoping this is actually just a co-op RPG and not another gacha game, but I fully expect to be surprised by that one. Boss fights look cool though. Fortnite Squid Game, which fully misses the point of Squid Game. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
We got a performance of Clair Obscur, which was really interesting because it was just like the duet, not duet, the solo vocalist with a guitarist strumming, and it was
the
great.
person who wrote the songs.
Yeah, very good live performance. After that, we saw Ninja Gaiden 4, which continues to look amazing. I am tremendously excited for this one. I hope Platinum is fully back in action with this.
God, it looks like more Ninja Gaiden. I'm happy.
Are you? I think you wanted not to look like more Ninja Gaiden than what I recall.
I really enjoyed the first game. and I mostly enjoyed the second game. The third game, as you can
bad.
you know,
Is just
expect,
bad.
Is just bad. I played a really good deal of the first two games.
I have no comment on the Ninja Gaiden games. I don't think my opinion.
We know why it's
matters that
opinion.
much. My
you
opinion
play Ninja
doesn't
Gaiden 4?
matter.
Are you feeling the Ninja Gaiden 4 vibe?
I like Platinum. I'll probably check it out. If Platinum's doing the combat, and listen, we're not going to get early 2000s cameras, and that will make it so much better.
I hope so. I hope we won't.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope we're not, at least.
After that is Cinder City, which is an MMO tactical shooter. We've seen this a few times. I am interested in this. It's by NCSoft, or published by NCSoft at least, who does a number of MMO projects, some of which are great and some of which are not. So they have a pretty open track record when it comes to this stuff. But at least for me, like, I'm fascinated by MMO first-person or third-person shooters and whatnot. I loved Defiance back in the day. I know why you played a fair amount of Defiance.
So cool. Yeah.
Defiance suffered from being very Brown Town, and at least this already looks a little bit more interesting. There's like crazy destruction, there's mechs you're fighting and whatnot. I'm just super curious as to how this is going to play, and I really hope it's not a hardcore PvP thing, because I'm worried it's going to be a hardcore PvP thing. But I hope this is just like a cool boss fight against a mech that a bunch of players are raiding up for. And so, yeah, I think potentially very interesting. I will probably check it out because of the fact that there's not much in that space right now. If anyone else knows good multiplayer MMO first-person shooters or third-person shooters, please let me know, because I definitely want to try them. Then we saw Time Takers, which is a shooter where your timeline is a resource, essentially, which is interesting. Not super sure about this one, I would say, just because to me it's lacking in aesthetic. That's not always a bad thing. It could just be that the aesthetic is that this is kind of crazy and wacky time stuff, but
it doesn't feel in all of these different
it doesn't feel
like
cohesive.
aesthetics. It doesn't feel cleverly combined at all. It just feels like a bizarre mishmash.
That said, the finals feels the same way, and the finals is awesome. So I'm fully open to this being very good.
I guess, but the finals kind of like eased you into that stuff with battle passes, but it wasn't really that way at launch, or at least not as much as this.
And it's also in the whole context of like the finals is within a video game and all that. So there's a little bit of theming around it. Who knows if that will be here for Time Takers? But they're doing playtests, so maybe there'll be some interesting stuff to come out. Silent Hill F, which is an action horror game, which I feel the need to specify because as soon as they showed that this game has combat in it, a bunch of people jumped out and said it's a Souls-like.
Are you
I legitimately think what's happened is that people are now only familiar with melee like slow combat systems as being Souls-like. This is what Onimusha looked like. Onimusha works like this and is not a Souls-like. It's action horror. Bizarrely, this made me more excited for Silent Hill F because it looks like Onimusha in the original Onimusha games, which I kind of doubt. I think the newer Onimusha looks more actiony, whereas the originals were a little slow.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
It's funny. Yeah, I hope this
is that
good.
Just people not knowing anything, or is that delusion?
Yes.
Who knows?
Yes.
And then something that I was very excited to see, and hopefully Griffin is. I don't know. Have you told him about this yet? This next game?
No, I haven't seen
Does
him
he know?
in a while. He's traveling, so I don't got. He'll find out when he gets back.
Divina Commedia, which is
Might be a Notary
adaptation. Which is an adaptation of of Dante's Divine Comedy.
It is probably a Souls-like. This one probably is a Souls-like.
Probably.
Yeah, I love the boss design they showed off. I like the character designs. I am absolutely fascinated by this one. It's an Italian developer studio, so all the things are lining up for me to enjoy this. I'm known to enjoy some wacky Souls-like sometimes, so this absolutely is up my alley. If it is. It could also just be an action game. And again, we're becoming the problem in using the term Souls-like too loosely. And so, moving on. We saw Chronos the New Dawn footage again. There's been a bunch of previews about this that are pretty positive, I would say.
This looks sick. I'm pretty excited for this, actually.
But yeah, this is an action horror game as well. And I'm surprised you're this excited for it, because it seems like it's taking after Resident Evil.
I mean, I'm getting Dead Space vibes, which I like Dead Space quite a bit. And I never finished it. I do want to go back and play more, but if it's more in the realm of like Resident Evil 4, then I'm definitely more in for that, because I think other Resident Evil stuff like 2, I know people really love 2, not really my thing. Before, I'm very much into. I'm more into horror games where you can fight back rather than having to run. Not that that's bad at all. I think it's just I actually, as much as I love horror, I scare very, very easily, and I'm less scared if I can actually fight versus having to like run and hide and stealth or something.
I think you just described why they often make horror games where you can't fight back, because people are less scared when you can.
100%. It's not that I don't understand why it is the way that it is. That's just my preference, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, looks interesting. I might be into this one, but I kind of want to catch up on Resident Evil first, fully, and stop leaving myself in the dust in terms of that one. After that, we saw some more Outer Worlds 2 footage. Looks good. Outer Worlds 2 continues to look fun. We saw some companions with this one. That's about it. Moving on, they did another flashy thing with a bunch of stuff. We saw some Inzoi stuff, which continues to be Uncanny Valley the game, which I kind of love. I think the fact that Inzoi looks like this is bizarre, and
I have a way of describing this aesthetic, and I don't know if I want to repeat this on the actual podcast. Let me put it this way. Inzoi has the aesthetic of those less than savory games that you find on like the new and trending on Steam. That's like kind of like
Inzoi has the aesthetic that they really shouldn't let you make your own wallpaper in.
Like hyper, like very realistic in some ways, but also very glossy and unrealistic, and with kind of bizarre, unfinished lighting. I'll put it that way.
For sure. Then we saw Fate Trigger, which is full on looks like Apex Legends, but anime girls. That's the only descriptor I think I can give this one.
Oh, yeah, that's this one. I didn't really think much of it when I saw the trailer for this, but I've seen gameplay since then, and they have like the same animations and like very similar looking weapons. It's like it's pretty bad. It's pretty blatant. It's kind of shameless, actually.
All right. Moving on, we see Seven Deadly Sins Origins, which is interesting to me. I'm not super familiar with Seven Deadly Sins, but I tend to like these oddball, anime-inspired open-world action games. Like Sandland is super cool and stuff like that. So I think there's definitely potential for this to be really good. This type of like shonen anime genre tends to lend itself to this thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a good one. Like Grand Blue Relink last year was phenomenal. Relink is, I think, one of the best games of the year it came out, and it's just an oddball crossover anime game, or not anime gacha game actually, because it's a crossover with a mobile gacha game that isn't available in the West. Wild. So very excited to potentially see this. Moonlighter 2.
Mm-hmm.
Really like the first
taking the plunge into 3D.
Yeah, really like the first
Looks
one.
like the combat's way better this time.
I hope it's way better this time. I really like
the
first one.
A little rough in the first one, but
I really like the first one despite its flaws. I think the combat was okay, but not great, and the shopkeeping stuff was, I think, a little shallow. One thing I'm going to miss is they had some beautifully animated pixel artwork in that game, like a cut above typically what you'd see for like indie pixel art games. So I'm going to miss that a little bit, but the 3D art stuff that they have going on here looks really, really good. So, fair enough, I guess.
Yeah. After that, we saw Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and man, there is some stuff going on.
Some very
with this
interesting stuff in both directions.
Yeah, so who knows what to think of this game at this point. I'm cautiously excited, but a damper on my excitement was put out when they announced that 2 of the clans of the 6 that are going to be in this game, including Toreador, who are like the most vanilla of the Masquerade clans in Vampire, which is crazy. It's like they put just the regular like artist hot vampire aesthetic behind a paywall, which is bizarre because that is such a default vampire thing in any vampire media. And they were in the first game, so it's bizarre that they're then moving this clan to a paywall. So
and this is assuming, what are we thinking the game's going to be? $60, $70, and then it's going to be 80 to 90 with the.
Let's see if they have a price.
Assumedly.
But yeah, the DLC we've heard is going to cost $21.99 for the DLC that is the extra clans. It's a $60 base price, at least on PC.
Yeah.
In addition to another $10 like deluxe edition DLC that I'm not sure what's in that one, but
cool.
The clans
I will
are in
be waiting
$20
for. I will be waiting for a 50% off sale at minimum.
So does the deluxe version of the game have the clans, or do you have to buy that separately from the deluxe
God,
edition?
I hope so.
Let's find out. You can pre-order. Okay, the premium edition. They have a little chart here.
How many different editions do they have? Oh dear God!
So the
with
premium
the
edition, which is
a
on
release chart. When your game needs a release chart like this, you're fucked. You fucked it up already. I'm sorry.
Premium edition is $90, $89.99. So it's $30 more than the base one. And comes with the deluxe edition and the premium edition stuff, which is the Shadows and Silk DLC, which is the one that has the 2 clans, and then Santa Monica Memories, which is just decor. You get a stop sign. You can put a stop sign down.
There's decor. There's like,
how much is the base
there's
game?
room decoration or
$60.
something going on there.
Base game is okay.
Base game is $60.
Here's what's happening here. I'm gonna make a guess. This is complete tinfoil hat territory. This game has been in development for so long, and so much money has been sunk into making this thing that they're cutting out factions in order to try and get more money out of the release of this because it's been in development for so long. That's the only explanation for this.
Yeah, I assume.
Oh my God.
Truly, I don't know what to expect for this one because it's being developed by the Chinese Room, who has made games that I like. Still Wakes the Deep, I think, is really good. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture was pretty well received when it came out. Dear Esther as well. But a lot of... They make games that don't tend to be that interactive. that makes sense. Like they're usually
Yeah.
horror or walking simulator type stuff that is a little bit light
From
on that.
Well,
from
notably,
what
this
I've
isn't the only.
seen
This isn't the only.
from reviewers who have gotten their hands on like the demo that was playable for this, is that there are, it's, oh god, how did I describe this before? It's not entirely, but it's rather lemon shaped in its branching paths.
I mean, I wouldn't
Where
trust demo knowledge from that because like
yeah,
you're looking at a game like Bloodlines,
like individual
going by the first
quests
game,
are lemon shaped.
but even then, like people played a demo through one time probably, and so I imagine there's not a lot of information on how actually different the pathways here, because that was one of the things that Bloodlines 1 really got right, was like the level of difference based on your character build and what you were doing, and all that, and things like stat checks and whatnot. There's a bunch of
just
other
basic
information
interactions based on what clan you take.
Yeah, and like if you played the Malkavian, your experience was just super weird and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting things about Bloodlines 1 that it seems like are not going to be into.
There's like I don't think you're going to get as much from like what type of clan you choose, because what they did talk about is the type of character you play is somewhat set. Like you're not a newly turned vampire. You are a very recognizable one that is, gonna be like, oh shit, you're them from the stories.
Well, yeah, I think the thing with Bloodlines 2, so you have a set character in this one, so you're not playing a newly turned just random person, which granted, because of how Bloodlines, well, Vampire in general's power scaling system works from the tabletop RPG, actually makes more sense, because Bloodlines 1 was really fast and loose with that stuff, just because they kind of have to be.
And they said that, you are playing a more powerful, older vampire, and it feels like that immediately out of the gate, which is something that I like to hear, but I'm also interested in how, you can expand on that power.
Yeah, it's just interesting, because you're a named character called Fire, who is Pyere, if you got to put a little spice on the fire. So yeah, I'm interested in this one. Don't know how it's going to be. Cautiously optimistic, but really worried after the DLC stuff is how I would put it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
You know what's next?
Enshrouded got wet?
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Enshrouded got Alex wet.
It got me soaked. I am so excited to see like the more like beachy desert biome that
it looks good.
Oh, it looks so cool. Oh, and there's gonna be new dungeons, new enemy races, new mechanics and things like that. I am hyped, and I have still yet to experience the snow biome fully, which I'm gonna be so excited when we can all dive back into that together. It is this is gonna be a blast.
I just really want it to come out. I want it to be full release.
That's my thing. I think I do want to play with you guys. I'm waiting for full release for this one.
According to their roadmap, there's maybe one or two minor things left that they have on what they want to do before full release. The water one was the biggest like stretch goal that they had before 1.0.
That was the thing with Enshrouded. Like Enshrouded's early access initial build felt more complete than a lot of games that I had played that were just released.
Yeah.
So, Enshrouded is absolutely a great pickup if you're looking for a survival game. And October 25th, I believe, is the date for this update. So excited to dive in. I
have to gush one more time. There's like, along with the water being interactable and things, like there's traps and dungeons where the doors are locked, water's filling up the room. There's also water physics in the case that you can make structures with a water wheel and power things, because the water will turn it.
That's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how they handle all this. Age of Empires 4 getting console ports, cool. Kingdom Come 2 is getting a blacksmithing DLC, which is funny because you're a blacksmith in that game already, and so the DLC I think is just adding a full shop for you to do and customize.
There you go. There you go.
And Cult of the Lamb is getting a full-on expansion with Woolhaven, which seems very interesting. I'm excited to see this interpretation, and I want to see a Nintendo Switch 2 version of this game, because the Switch 1 version didn't run well, and a Switch 2 update would be great. I want to play it. I want to play it and be good. All right. After that big World of Warcraft Midnight showcase, I think it looks really cool.
Cinematic
But
trailer.
I have to caveat that I work at Blizzard on Diablo, and it's my own opinion and not the opinion of any entity. I think WoW is really fun right now. I've been enjoying it quite a lot, and Midnight looks really cool, and I cannot wait for housing and how it's going to destroy my free time. I am absolutely positive that's going to destroy me. Hey, Final Fantasy, can we get our shit together with how the housing works? Because everyone else is doing it now. And Final Fantasy, I just want it to be a little better. Just let me have...
No, artificial limited
I
space.
hate fighting for real estate in an MMO. It sucks. I already got my house in Final Fantasy, but I don't like it. I don't like that I had to fight for real estate. I prefer that new people don't have to do that. Okay. After that, we got Project Spectrum, which is this weird, like, Evolve-styled PvP thing. Seems
Yeah, it's a little
neat.
unclear.
I'm fascinated. That's the only thing I could say about this one. I think I need to see more actual like footage of the gameplay and whatnot. I do think this trailer kind of convinced me a little bit. So
I think the concept is really interesting. A lot of the kind of horror monster stuff they got going on is interesting. It's going to take a lot for me to come around on a PvEVP thing, because a lot of the time my experience with those kind of games is like doing my own thing, I'm having fun, and then other players come in and
but
just
Evolve was cool.
ruin. But Evolve was cool, and Evolve wasn't really like that. So yeah, if we're getting like a spooky Evolve, I could be into that.
Yeah. Okay, after this, we got World of Tanks Heat, which is the weird thing we were talking about earlier, where there were tanks really sci-fi'd up and all that.
You say really sci-fi'd up. It's really like they have like a rectangle square on the side with some cables.
Really sci-fi'd up for World of Tanks.
And that's really
for,
about
for
it.
the World of Tanks aesthetic, this is pretty sci-fi'd up. I don't know. I'm not sure what to think of this one. I don't play World of Tanks, really so I'm not the audience.
It was really funny. It was pitched as like, oh, it's something that the team really hasn't done before, and it's so different. And it's like, it's more tanks, and more tanks are shooting drifting at each other. Tanks can drift, and they have cables that lead into squares.
I'll put it this way: I'm more likely to play this than regular World of Tanks.
How
likely? I don't know. Probably not very, but
1% more than 0.
We got just a little bit of a tease of Ghost of Yotei, but they know we're all here. We're all waiting for it.
And the free DLC for Legends coming next year.
Yes, that was the big announcement here, is that Legends is coming.
Is back, baby. Let's go.
Which is great. I loved Legends for the first one, so excited to see for the second. After that, we got a pretty big chunk of Resident Evil Requiem. It seems like the opening being played. And I'm sold. I want to play this. I want to know what happened to her mom, because it looks like not good. So I'm just very
whatever
curious.
It is, it's not good.
And I'm really glad they're going with a character like Grace here, because I think it's going to be a good spot to jump into Resident Evil regardless of what you've played. Because I think right now there are a bunch of people in situations that have played, they've played 7 in Village and are familiar with the new stuff. Or they've played the 2, 3, and 4 remakes and don't know Village and 7. So there's a bunch of people that have played like various things, and I think this is going to be a good way to like tie them back into the main franchise cleanly. So I'm really excited. I think, Resident Evil 4 remake has fully sold me on everything Capcom's doing for the future. So,
and it's interesting that
I have been advised by my lawyer Ryan to not say anything.
Not a lawyer.
And it's really interesting that they're providing you with both a first and third person version. You can pick between either perspective, which for a horror game is pretty interesting. I'm very curious to see.
I'm wondering how it's going to feel.
I'm curious as to the statistical split there of like who's going to pick what. Because I think most people would agree that first person's scarier, but third person is kind of classic Resident Evil. So,
Which it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be first person to be scary. The dogs jumping through the window in the first remake still scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty scary. I was going to say, especially Resident Evil 2 was a master of like making you really concerned for your well-being in a third-person game. All right. Finally, we saw Black Myth Zhonghui, which is the new Black Myth game. Obviously very excited for this. I think Black Myth Wukong was very fun. I haven't finished it yet though, but got pretty deep into it and had a great time. So I'm excited to see what they're doing with this one. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty different.
My only reservation, I'm not a huge fan of how some of the devs on the game science team have reacted to not winning Game of the Year. That's a little cringe.
Oh
Not a fan.
yeah.
Not to say that the game is going to be bad, but as a studio, I have more reservations than I did before. But I do. But it's a very Wukong's a very good game, so I'm sure at least from the game front, they're probably going to deliver. But I just the studio themselves, or at least some of the individuals there, I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, that's the Gamescom stuff. Overall, pretty fun show. A lot of things that I didn't know about that I'm pretty interested in. I think a lot of the pre-show stuff was very cool. Bubsy 4D is on my Game of the Year list now. But really, yeah, I think a lot of fun stuff here. Definitely was a show that was a little bit slower paced than Game Awards, which I think was kind of a good thing. It didn't feel as like breakneck the whole time. Although I really could have done with one less World of Tanks announcement, but that's.
How do you get two?
One less.
Man, come on.
Heat was fine. Heat was kind of interesting because I looked at it and went, huh? But the regular World of Tanks I didn't go, huh? At, and that makes me sad.
It's a 2.0.
It's 2.0 though. Okay, let's jump gears a little bit and talk about the Battlefield 6 beta. Because we played a whole bunch of this. At least Wyatt and I poured incredible amounts of time. I think it was the only video game that I played for the period that it was active.
I got to watch some most of the time when it was out. I have been on the computer that cannot handle it.
Yeah. That said, it ran really well. I have had technical problems with every Battlefield game on PC, none with the 6 beta, which surprises me immensely. Ran really well.
I had some weird graphical bugs, but nothing too crazy. I don't think it ever crashed once, which is pretty
coming from you. That's a lot.
Yeah,
I think I got disconnected one time, which for an open beta network testy thing, not surprising. I'm more surprised that it only happened once. Yeah, overall, I would say a very positive experience with the Battlefield 6 beta.
With a few
particular gripes.
Asterisks that I think are worthy of
a couple of caveats in this recommendation.
Yes. But to stay positive for a second, because I don't want it to be all doom and gloom. Despite it being like an open weapon design for all the classes, which we will get back to, I think we've returned to a Battlefield game where everyone has a defined role. I think the equipment still really defines each role and still provides a purpose for them, which is really, really good. Vehicle control might be the best in the series. It felt really good. That was always
still
my issue with other
Battlefield
though. Games. No, it's still
ground
a bit
vehicles
trash
are okay, but the flight vehicles you need a controller hooked up because they are not good.
Like, for as many Battlefield games as we've had, it's never felt quite right to me. This one did feel significantly better, in my opinion. I think the individual gunfights are super intense. Like love that they finally added being able to drag people away
so
in
much
order
fun.
to kill them. And it looks not janky at all. And so the excuse that it would look bad all of these years, complete hogwash. It looks great. And it's super thematic, and I think it provides a lot of extra utility to medics, because I feel like they've also gotten less important, or like I think just from players in general, they don't really feel the need to play medics, but now I think there's a much greater purpose for them because of that. Speaking of medics, it's like support and medic is one class now, which is interesting, and I need to play more to know how I feel about it, because medic and support have always been my two most played classes.
Yeah, that was the most interesting change to me, because I kind of wish they were still separated. but I don't mind it that much. It just is odd that like all of your utility now comes from this one class, compared to like medic and support being
So
two
how
different
many
roles.
classes are there
4.
then? If it's
There's four roles. You got assault,
so
engineer, or support, I guess it's called. Well, yeah, support's the medic class, and then engineer, and then recon.
Yeah, and it's been kind of different over the years. Sometimes there's been 4 classes, sometimes there's been 5, because sometimes they like split the medic and support class up. Sometimes the like assault class is technically the medic class, like it was in 4, which was really weird that I wasn't a huge fan of. So it's kind of changed over time. I think they probably made it this way so that they would encourage people to heal more without having to completely dedicate themselves to being a healer. Which,
Yeah.
if that was the mentality, I can kind of understand because you still had a lot of people in the beta not fucking reviving people.
See, the biggest change that I would prefer with that, I think right now you can immediately hold the button to knock yourself out and then respawn. And because of how fast that is, I think a lot of people just default to doing it, despite the fact that it loses you the game. Because when you're hitting that respawn screen, that's when your ticket gets used and you're hurting your team.
Or even if it's not a ticket thing. Even if it's not a ticket thing, you could be losing defense, you could be losing your like momentum on a push or something like that. I think people just like, especially people who aren't used to Battlefield, don't understand how important it is to wait for a medic.
And it's also especially because even if you do that, you then can't respawn for a little while. So I think they should just make it so that like you can't actively kill yourself in the time that it takes the medic to run up to you, by restricting it so that like when your respawn timer is still ticking down, you're still revivable as long as you're in that time. Feels like it would be a good change. But yeah, otherwise, I played a lot of the classes. I played basically everything. Despite the open weapon system, it still feels like there is enough incentive to stick to your weapon types on classes that I don't really mind it that much. I might still end up playing the closed weapon playlist more just for the sake of like the feeling of it being a little bit more universal. I don't know how the general player base is going to react with this stuff. It was nice to sometimes have the option of going, hey, on my recon kit here, I'm going to load up with a shotgun instead of a sniper rifle and play forward operator, essentially, which was really fun. And I'm glad they made the call.
That I saw you get on that one game.
Dude, I had one game with a shotgun where it was crazy. But they're moving the support like respawn or the recon respawn beacon to assault, which makes a lot of sense to me because it's now going to be like, okay, you are the frontline class, dropping the beacon for people to respawn at.
It does make more sense. I did appreciate that change quite a bit.
Yeah, whereas recon is the sniper class, and recon gets benefits for using snipers because they're able to one-shot headshot and you can't respawn from it. But it's difficult. You gotta like actually play around it and whatnot, the big sniper glint and all that. So yeah, I think the balance felt really fun. For what I played.
I think it's the best way that they could have done an open weapon design. I still like, I'm very firm on this. Like, I still think every class should have their own weapons, with some weapon classes being switchable in between, like with shotguns or carbines or something like that. But I feel like that's a battle that I've lost, and I'm just going to accept it. It is what it is. But I think, it's better than what we have in Battlefield 2042, even after they like reintroduced classes into 2042. I would say it's still a significant improvement over that. That being said, I have some notes. Luckily, I think a lot of these notes are being addressed in the full release. They've kind of talked about what they want to change, which I think is great.
Yeah, but I specifically talked too about the like bunny hopping thing that was happening during the beta. Yep. They were addressing specifically by like making it so that jumping is now nerfed the more you do it in a row, so it's gonna not jump you as high, and it's also going to affect your accuracy way more. So stuff like that, so it'll feel less Call of Duty like in how people were moving around in the beta.
Yeah, there's not going to be like stupid slide canceling, jumping around stuff, which has its place. That place just isn't Battlefield. The big thing, and I think everyone can agree, is the maps. I don't want it to seem like the maps.
I thought you said the big thing.
Are maps.
Those were all small things.
Shut up. I'm kidding. It's not that the maps that we have are bad. right? I think they are well designed for what they are, and I'm totally okay with them being in a Battlefield game if we have also the larger maps to go along with that.
Yeah. And we do know 2 are coming. We know Merak Valley and Firestorm are both very large maps that are the size or larger than Liberation Peak, which was the biggest map in the beta. And I think those will feel better. I do wish they had leaned more into the big maps in the beta period to know, like, that's
They
what
didn't have
Battlefield
one.
is.
Yeah.
They didn't have one, which I find very
Well,
strange.
Liberation Peak was technically big, but it doesn't feel like it because of the way that the big mountain in the middle is completely non-playable. So you kind of have this big slice out of the middle that isn't actually usable.
I was gonna say, is it more vertical than spread out? But that just doesn't sound.
I would actually say from the beta period, Liberation Peak is kind of my least favorite map. At least in terms of like the flow in a lot of breakthrough matches. I think in Conquest it's fine, but in breakthrough it was a little bit rough in certain areas.
It's very choke pointy. It's very choke pointy for a Call of Duty map, or sorry, for a Battlefield map, which I'm not.
Where's the problem?
There's the slip.
Yeah, it feels like there should be more ways to approach things. I think generally like Rush didn't feel great when we played Rush the second weekend.
That was my biggest disappointment. When we were playing, I annoyed Brett so much because I wouldn't shut the fuck up about how much I want Rush back. And now that we had it in the beta,
wasn't good.
It's not great. Yeah, and Rush has
been going after you for that now.
and Rush has never been the size of Conquest or Operations or anything like that. But they've had smaller player sizes, but they've always taken place on larger maps with more space instead of it just being tight corridors the whole time. So I think there's a middle ground that you can take with Rush that I don't think was fully achieved in the beta. They did say that they're going to keep experimenting with it. I don't know what that means necessarily.
Yeah, I think that the way their blog post made it sound is that Rush is intended to be a small scale mode this time around, and Breakthrough is the big scale mode for the single frontline thing that Rush kind of is. So yeah, I don't know that I agree with that take. I think I probably just won't play Rush, to be honest.
The thing that I will always applaud Battlefield for, especially over Call of Duty, is if I like you were talking about with those tight corners, if they're a problem, you can not make them not a problem by blowing them the fuck up.
Yeah. The
Which
destruction
I always love destructible environments. I will always sing their praises.
Yeah, it's not as crazy as something like BattleBit, but it feels way more in depth than 2042 did a lot of the time. So I think that's a huge step forward. I think in general the weapons felt really good. There's a few that felt weird, like the first LMG you have access to feels really dinky.
Well, here's the thing. I think both of the LMGs felt weird because the first one, for as heavy and chunky as it is, it felt like you're kind of shooting BBs at people the whole time. Whereas the second one didn't even feel like an LMG. It felt like an assault rifle. There are so many moments where I just hip fired that thing and won in engagements that I definitely should not have won in at all.
Yeah, because it just does so much damage.
I think it felt way too much like an assault rifle. So I think more work needs to be done with LMGs because either they
I also wonder if just like
or they're too light.
The change for LMGs is maybe not just damage, but like suppression feels not super impactful in this one, whereas like suppression in some of the older Battlefield games would make it really hard to do things like snipe through it. In this one, it isn't really that big of a deal. Like it doesn't really mess things up that much.
What do you mean by suppression?
So there was
like
suppression,
noise suppressor type thing, or
no, suppression is like suppressing fire. Is a whole thing in Battlefield. It felt less satisfying in this one for sure. So I'm hoping that gets addressed a little bit.
My other thing, and I don't know if you noticed this at all, but I think it was easier with something like Battlefield 1, which is like my favorite Battlefield game. But I wish they had tried to distinguish the classes apart visually on the battlefield a little bit more. They all feel very like military guy in camo, but even in the like modern setting Battlefield games, they did a good job of like distinguishing the separate classes. I remember in Battlefield 4, like for the US, the support class had a giant backpack and then like a chain of bullets that he had like kind
Yeah.
of around his neck. Like they always did a good job of like trying to define visually each separate class, and I feel like
Totally.
they they look way too similar this time around.
Yeah, I
So
get
I
that.
hope
I could never tell what I was firing at unless they had a rocket launcher. Then I knew they were engineer.
yeah,
But
yeah. Or they
generally
had a
speaking,
scope glint.
yeah, generally speaking, who knew? I mean, even with a scope glint, you don't know because unlocked weapons means it could be anyone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, in general, I came away from that being very excited for Battlefield 6. It's
100%.
probably going to be a day one pickup for me.
Mhm.
That beta was super convincing. We have a lot of minor gripes, but they are that minor gripes and not the 2042. What is this? That
Hey,
we kind of
Where's the
reacted to that game with.
scoreboard?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
the
they had a
scoreboard.
scoreboard. They had a scoreboard this time around. No. He meant in 2042.
Yeah.
They had a scoreboard this time around. I didn't know we had the technology for something like a scoreboard, but it's pretty impressive stuff, you know.
Was the scoreboard not in 2042?
It wasn't there at launch. It took them like it. They had a specific update for a scoreboard and then delayed it. Until it wasn't finished. Which is the funniest.
That is one of the biggest like first person shooter gaming events that has stuck in my head.
2042 is still just like it
a
full
rough
crashes
launch,
anytime I try to open it on my computer now. It straight up won't play.
I mean, I'll say this: I've been playing it to kind of stave off my Battlefield 6 withdrawal. I think it's a okay Battlefield game now. Can you do better? Sure, but I will say this:
Probably 6 felt
it is
really
harder.
good.
Yes, I will say this: it is a lot harder. The older you get for Battlefield games, there's an increase in difficulty of actually finding matches and getting things to work. Because a lot of the older games relied on battle log and all this stupid other crap. There's something you have to turn off, or else like the older games will boot you from them instantly because they think you're cheating. Battlefield 1, as much as I love that game, servers are either completely full or completely empty, so you kind of have to wait in a queue for a little while. I will say 2042, pretty easy to find a match.
I want to
to
play some one with you really bad, but I am so worried about just getting into a and just for all of the games that I play, just getting absolutely stumped, having no idea what's going on, not getting to really like witness or be a part of any cool moments. Because that'll turn me off of it immediately. Regardless of how many times I can see like the really cool stuff going on, or the ability to, you know, like all the stuff with the air fighting, being able to go like back into first person on running across a blimp, things like, you know, the crazy stuff that, you
It's
know,
amazing.
is
It's
few and
amazing.
far between.
The
moments,
Battlefield moments.
Oh god.
Fun fact, so I just looked it up. November 12th, 2021 is when Battlefield 2042 came out. March of 2022 was the scoreboard update.
Or something. All
It
right.
took them. Oh my god!
On
It
that
took them
note,
5 months.
I think we're done with the Battlefield talk. Overall, yeah, super positive on it. We have minor gripes, but I would say in general are very much looking forward to Battlefield 6. Can't wait to play it. It's been a while since I've been fully engrossed in a multiplayer FPS, so I'm very excited to be back to it when it lands. All right. Super briefly, I want to mention Donkey Kong Bonanza because we've been playing some Donkey Kong Bonanza and it's really good. That's about as much as I have to say about it. It's just really good, and I like going bonk. I can bonk a lot in that game, and it bonks everything to bits.
Yeah.
You have
I
your
would say
singing
the
Pauline
only-
on your shoulder. It's neat. It's cute. It's a good
I
game.
would say the only real issue that I have is sometimes the camera can get a little fucked up in tight spaces.
Yeah, it is impressive that they got the camera to work as well as it does, though. I think it's definitely a
game like
case
this,
of like
yeah.
the fact that it works at all is surprising.
Yeah.
There's
the
definitely
only
bits where it
other
gets
thing-
confused.
As someone who's a story guy, anytime someone opens their mouth to speak, I want them to stop talking because that means I'm not bonking things.
That really is the problem with Bonanza. It's so much fun to just run around and do thing that anytime I'm not running around and doing thing, I'm like, I just want to be doing thing. I also love your Bonanza mode where you go into big banana monkey head and smash everything is great.
Oh, there's more.
Especially the
more.
music. I know there's more. I can't wait. I'm very excited to get further into the
Ryan,
game.
there's a giant muscular ostrich. and it's the
Can't
most
wait.
ridiculous
Where
looking thing I have
where
ever seen.
where's the where's the mustrage oscular? Where is the ostrich muscular? Wyatt?
Arms, legs.
Big buff
I think I
ostrich.
saw a 6-pack in there.
That's pretty great.
Why don't you look? You can look it up for yourself, Alex. You can do some research.
You could be playing Bonanza right now, and you're on this podcast. What are you doing?
I don't have a Switch
I've
2.
been
I
playing-
can't be
I've
playing
been playing
Bonanza.
the whole
problem.
time. I've been
Not
playing
for my
Bonanza
current
the whole
situation,
time.
it is.
All right.
Got
That's the Bonanza talk. I also briefly wanted to mention Death Stranding 2 because I think it's very interesting. We're on the cusp
bunch
of
of
Metal Gear
Bonaniacs.
Solid. Metal Gear Solid Delta is about to be released, which is not a Kojima game. It is Konami making a Metal Gear game remake without Kojima because they kicked him out of the company and he's now at Kojima Productions. So I think it's an interesting time to mention Death Stranding 2. In general, I've been having a good time with it. I think the biggest thing that I'm feeling with Death Stranding 2 is it's long. Maybe a little too long, because I'm in chapter, I think, 14 at this point, which I think is where the first game ended, and I don't think I'm at the end, or even necessarily that close to it yet. I've got most of Australia connected, and it's I feel pretty far along, but yeah, definitely seems like there's still legs in this. That said, the sandbox of that game is so much fun. And I'm really glad they went as hard as they did at Death Stranding 2 and gave you as many toys as you get. I won't spoil what it is, but you get a thing that functionally works like a hoverboard at a certain point, and it's real sick to go around just hoverboarding. Of course, with the caveat that you can't use it to connect new areas. It has to be on the chiral network, so it doesn't invalidate the game, but it's very fun in the areas that you get to use it in. There's also a wild system. I'm not going to say what it is. Anyone that's played this game, you know the moment where suddenly you get a thing that feels so bizarre compared to what any Death Stranding thing would be. You just get a thing, and it's crazy. It's super fun. I'm really glad it's in the game. I love it.
I would say like the gameplay across the board is an improvement. Like it would be hard to go back and play the first game kind of improvement. Other than my like I go back and forth on how I feel about vehicles in a game like this all the time. I feel like there's a great sense of accomplishment when you have all of these roads and stuff set up to make your treks easier. But I also feel like that takes away a lot of the what makes the gameplay loop so special to begin with when you're just kind of using a truck to make deliveries a lot of the time. So I kind of go back and forth on that. Story-wise, I was hoping for more. I was hoping for something that was better paced, which I think it is better paced in the first one.
It's better, but it's not by much. It's like it still does the thing the first one did, where you'll go through really long droughts of story, and then you'll get a just deluge of cool stuff all at once. And it has that issue where it's just like it seems like they're not answering any questions. They're like, we're gonna hold every single answer until the end of the game, and that frustrates me.
When the fucking credits are rolling,
they're gonna keep adding questions and whatnot. And look, I like it. I loved the first game story. I think it landed really well with me at the end. But when I recall actually going through it at the time, the gameplay was what was carrying me through it, because the story itself was just like not giving me anything to go off of for a long time. And the second is like introducing mysteries and stuff, but those mysteries it's just introducing more of them, not answering a single thing, and that's getting a little frustrating. But otherwise, having a good time.
I have frustrations with the way that both games are written. I think Kojima has an overabundance, and I can't really speak to Metal Gear, but I think he has an overabundance of fantastic ideas that I want to see come to fruition. I don't think with Death Stranding specifically, I don't think he has done a very good job of bringing these ideas to fruition in an interesting way, or in a way that's like written without either not telling you things or just full-on explanations of things, again, in a way that isn't very interesting. And it's always so frustrating because you can always see what he's going for with a particular scene, but like it just doesn't quite get there in the execution. But like I said, gameplay across the board is an improvement. Like the menus have been cleaned up a lot. They're just way less clunky, and I think that adds so much to like keeping you in the game longer rather than just like getting a little annoyed by having to go into the menus every 2 seconds, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that's Death Stranding 2 thoughts. I just thought I'd give the update since we had talked about Death Stranding 1 quite a bit on the show. So to give the progress update for where we are. At least for me, it's not the thing I'm blitzing anymore because I kind of want to get to Expedition 33 sooner rather than later, because I think as soon as we start gearing up towards Game of the Year discussions, I feel like I need to have played that game fully, because I really, really liked what I got through so far. So I'm very excited to finish it out. All right, that's the topics. That's the show. We did it. We talked about a lot of stuff, which means it's time for shoutouts.
I'm going to go grab my shout-out, so someone go first.
Yeah, you got to run and grab it. All right, Alex, you got something?
You know what? Since I only ever get to do this whenever I have a camera anymore, I'm going to shout out this little guy again. Look at him. He's huge. He's quite heavy.
What a good fish.
He's got a gaping... Oh, Jesus! He's got a gaping maw.
Very good. All right, Wyatt's scrambled
and he's
back
still intact.
Fantastic. I'll go because I got a thing ready. I got a copy of a game called Earthborn Rangers. This is after Alex and I gushed a lot about Vantage. Earthborn Rangers is a game that I heard recommended a lot in the same breath as Vantage, of like a solo and co-op exploration kind of game. This one that I know is a fair bit different. You're exploring a far future Earth rather than a different planet and whatnot, but I've heard a lot of people say this is really fantastic and a great like card game take on it, whereas Vantage is more like a dice checker. So I'm very excited to play Earthborn Rangers as well. Got some stuff for it, picked up an expansion, so it seems very fun.
Fantastic.
Is it deck buildery card game?
Yeah, it's a deck builder.
Or
A little while ago, this isn't quite my shout out, but it's a prepper. A little while ago, read this book called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which I think might be one of the greatest comic book series I've ever read. I love the story. I love the characters. The artwork in this is, I mean,
it's gorgeous.
It's I think probably the most gorgeous looking comic book I've ever read in my entire life. I mean, just the cover. God, look at that. If you're at all into superheroes, I'd say if you're not even into superheroes, because it's not, I wouldn't say it's like the traditional superhero story at all. If you're into Westerns, it's kind of like a Western, really.
Cool.
But that led me onto what I'm currently reading, which is Helen of Windhorn, which is by the exact same team. So same writers, same artist, same inker, same color, same font and everything. And I mean, again, just like absolutely
drop dead
gorgeous.
Amazing.
They've said that they liked working on Supergirl so much that they wanted to keep kind of going with a similar kind of setup, but kind of their own take on it. And this one's interesting in that it's a woman, like I think she's like a teenage woman who's her father who wrote these like fantasy novels recently died, and she's become her grandfather's ward. So she's moved to his mansion, and what she notices later on is that all of the things that were in her father's books are in the mansion. So it's this kind of like other realm, basically. I haven't gotten very far into it, so I'm not exactly sure how all of this works, but I mean, again, such fantastic writing and artwork. I'm loving it pretty much just as much as Supergirl right now. I hope this team keeps making more stuff because it's just so good.
Looks great. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Next week, there will probably be an episode, but I'm on a plane directly beforehand that will land here at about 3 o'clock, and we record at 5. So we'll see if that starts on time or is late. But the plan is to have an episode as long as I land. Otherwise, I'll have some PAX West stuff to talk about, presumably. That's the end of the show. We'll catch you all next week. Podcast platform of your choice, YouTube and Twitch. Like and subscribe.
The second it's recording, I'm just going to go back to playing Donkey Kong.
Nice.
Or Battlefield 1. I haven't really decided yet.
Yeah. feel they need to build a factory.